pretenses of speaking about the homeless and the.
Please.
She is a resident of the town of Catskill.
Remind anyone who's speaking, we do have a 3-minute time limit.
Good evening. For those of you who don't know me, I'm an 80-year-old senior citizen, very active at the senior center. And we'd like to thank you for the floor that you just put in for us. It is wonderful.
Great.
I also want to tell you that I teach children how to pray. And I teach them specifically to pray for our country. I specifically pray for all of you each night, as well as our country.
Can you step this way a little bit? Thanks. Just so we can get you on camera.
Okay.
There you go. Don't block that though.
It's okay.
But I want you to know that I do pray for you every night, and I appreciate everything you've done for the senior center. And I would also ask you personally, those of you who are not in Catskill, wherever you are, please visit your senior centers. Let them know that you care about them. That personal touch is so important, okay? The very final thing I want to talk to you about is the need for senior housing in Greene County. There's a desperate need for it. How is it being addressed? I don't know. I know there was a talk some time ago about putting individual cabins or something down in Catskill for seniors to live in, and then that went by the wayside. We are in desperate need for decent, affordable, human housing for our seniors. Case in point, one of our seniors, Gary, he and Jamie have put Catskill on the map with their TikTok thing. Gary will not be able to live in Catskill because he can't find a place to live. They're being evicted on the 14th. 7 people are being thrown out with no place to go. This is a disgrace. What are we doing to address this situation? Seniors need affordable housing. Please. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, also, we have Department of Human Services Executive Director Stephanie Schleuderer, and she has somebody, who'd you bring? Danny Bone, I think it is.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Due to the continued level 2 home health care aid shortage, Greene County DHS has subcontracted with Unlimited Care Inc. to provide level 2 services. Such services include medication reminders, bathing and showering, dressing, and hygiene. Unlimited Care Inc. will assume full liability should the aide get injured or into a car accident, as well as provide benefits, training, onboarding, monitoring, recruitment, and licensure requirements. DHS responsibilities will include providing schedule, oversight, and weekly check-ins to determine clients' needs are being met. Unlimited Care will bill DHS $38 per hour monthly, totaling a 40-hour work week. In New York, the average hourly rate for such services ranges between $35 and $38 per hour, and in many cases require an additional $125 per RN supervisor home visit. L2 services will be paid through the unmet needs state funding, in which Greene County DHS receives $121,494, which is estimated to continue for the next several years. All DHS waitlist clients have been provided L2 services, including the Mountaintop. L2 service is the final alternative service before long-term institutional care placement, which can average $9,000 per month. Since the majority of the clients requiring such care cannot afford it, the cost is absorbed by Medicare and taxpayers' dollars. Providing such level 2 services not only will alleviate the financial burden of taxpayers and caregivers, but allows the client to continue to stay in their home independently and be provided with consistent care. Yes.
When they say $38 an hour, I know that's not what the worker's getting paid. What is the worker getting paid? An 8-hour day, so travel time's included,
Yes,
so,
Yes.
so there won't be a disparity with the mountaintop, they should get.
yes.
same
We have
thing.
one day for the mountaintop, specifically for them.
How many workers for that one day?
There are 3 clients being seen on that day.
I know, but it should the people find out that this is a viable service, if more people, want it, they will be.
Right now, we have 1 aide. There were 2 aides, however, the second aide stepped out, so Unlimited is continuing to recruit for an additional aide.
So there's a single aid for the
There's
whole
1 single
county,
aide right now.
for the whole county.
Correct.
For right now, yeah. And it's different from the usual contract that we have with them in that this aid is dedicated to our clients only. So before we would have maybe the aid going for 2 hours here, 2 hours there, but this lady is dedicated to Greene County clients. And that kind of sweetened the deal because one of the things that we discussed is that people wanted a more consistent work schedule so they would know how much money they're going to make. And this enabled Unlimited to kind of present this to a long-term employee who they knew was qualified, was reliable. And so she's, I don't want to say she's ours, but she's ours.
So how many clients do you have right now in the countywide?
For the level 2 care with this aid, I think we have 15. So everyone on the wait list that we had on the wait list has been seen. Or we had a few people who kind of dropped off the wait list. One lady applied for and received Medicaid, so she's getting her services under Medicaid, but the other people we were able to take care of.
So you are gonna put this out to the senior centers to let them know that this is now available?
Yep, and
Because I would imagine that the need is there and the client list will grow.
yes, and what typically happens, we found is after the holidays, we get a lot of phone calls from adult children will come home and visit their parents and see maybe, dad has deteriorated to the point where he needs care. So we get a lot of intake calls. So we're factoring that into, there's going to be a need in the upcoming weeks that these people are going to have to be assessed and approved for services. And also the clients that we have already who are receiving the lower level of care, the level 1 care, because we're in contact with them on a regular basis and because we reassess them annually, we can see if their needs have, have changed to the point where they need a level 1 care. So it's not like we're just saying, okay, these people are getting services. We want to make sure that the people to the extent that we're able, that the people who need it are getting this service.
My last question is, now say somebody is in the hospital for a stay, they come out and they also need maybe a couple times this particular person will be available to help those temporarily also, right?
Right, yeah, this arrangement that we have, it gives us more flexibility in that we have existing, like, if, to use your example, let's say we have a client who's just receiving home delivered meals. That's our client. And if we are aware that they were in the hospital, they've gotten out of the hospital and they need some additional help, we're able to approve them for the service based on their need and their income. And then we can just, because as I said, this lady is dedicated to us. We make her schedule. So we can, then send her to help clients because we really want to make sure that people are able to stay in their home as long as possible. And we want to help the caregivers too. Anyone who's been a caregiver knows, and if you look at the statistics of people, the number of people who have to quit their jobs to take care of someone.
It's nice to get a break only for a couple hours a day.
Right, exactly. And then there's a ripple effect on the economy. If they're not making money because they're not working, then they're not spending. So, this benefits everybody if we can keep people in their homes.
Thank you.
So people could actually just call the office and then you would do some type of an assessment whether they qualify for this.
Right, so people call the office. They will usually talk to our New York Connects person, who is Rachel. She takes all their information and passes the information on to the case managers, and the case managers go out and do an assessment. It's like a 44-page assessment that was designed by the state, and we get all kinds of information. And it's based on their need, and it's based on income. But if they're over income for what the guidelines are, there's kind of, we're allowed to make, the state allows us to make deductions for household expenses, rent, heating, stuff like that. And if, let's say they're, even with all the deductions, they're $20 over, they could have like maybe a 5% cost share for services where they're paying just a little bit of the services. But we try to help them so that they're getting some kind of services.
Say 44%.
Yes.
Designed by the state.
By the
Yes.
state?
I did lie, I have one more question.
Sure.
I know Mike Ryan's on Zoom right now, and a lot of our elderly folks, they listen to WRIP.
Yes.
Would you ladies be willing to go on RIP and explain this if Mike would have you on, because he does that Wednesday program?
Yeah.
I think it'd be wonderful to get out there, then people know, and their service could really be used to benefit the elderly.
Yeah, yes,
Yeah, that would be good.
absolutely. And this is, we kind of found out about this. I went to a conference in June and we found out that, well, I mean, everybody knows that the aid shortage is just across the state, across the country. And people are kind of racking their brains, figuring out how to alleviate this situation. There's one that's in Bolton. It's Putnam County kind of came up with this arrangement to get the dedicated aid. And we kind of stole their idea. Stephanie called the executive director and found out, you know, how they did it, and we've kind of been following their lead. And it turns out that the agency that we're contracting with, their Putnam County branch is providing services. So we've been able to kind of pick their brain too, you know, to kind of guide us along.
Putnam County had 60 people on their wait list and no
Wow.
longer have a wait list.
Great, thank you, ladies, really
You're
appreciate
welcome.
it.
One quick question. So is there like an actual, like a ratio, like as of today, you said 15
Mhm.
for the level 2 recipients or providers? What do we have to do, or does it go through unlimited that hires that other person? 'Cause God forbid
Unlimited.
something should happen
Right, correct.
to our one, you know,
So Unlimited is actively recruiting. Again, it's kind of hard, but because they can say, you will be guaranteed hours, you will get this pay rate. It's a higher pay rate than someone who's just, you know, a typical employee would have.
okay.
So they have that kind of in their pocket to say, you know, you're gonna have a guaranteed amount of hours, you're gonna get this pay rate. So that will hopefully enable them to get somebody else on board. So they're doing the recruiting, and Stephanie is in contact with them all the time, you know, asking how they're following us, we're following them. You know, it's really a partnership.
No, and I think it's a great thing. I just,
Thank
God
you.
forbid something should happen.
Oh, yeah,
that person
absolutely.
Get burnt out.
You gotta remember one thing. At one time, what did we have, 3 or 4 visiting nurses for the county? How many were there? So the need's there.
Yeah.
We have it,
I'm not
so,
arguing that.
I know, but my point is the word has to get out so people know that's available. You know what I'm saying? People stop calling when they realize they're not
Well, the
gonna get help.
availability is.
Now the help's
I
there, we gotta make
understand that.
sure
I'm just
they
saying,
know
if you don't
about it.
have the help, you know, there's still people, and if you don't have any representatives to go out and do the job,
But
the
you
need
gotta,
still didn't go
but these
away.
people have to know that we have a way to help them. And it's
Sure,
important that they can
absolutely.
finally call and say, I need help, can you help me?
But they have to understand there could be a wait list.
There could be, but at least there's a light at the end of the tunnel.
That expectation
There was no
should be
light
put
for a
out
long
there,
time.
so it's just not automatic.
Right, yeah, I mean, hopefully, like Mr. Hobart said, we get somebody on board soon so that, you know, we have 2 people and,
Right.
you know.
What's your estimation as to how many people you will ultimately need?
How many we will need?
Ultimately,
Yeah, it depends how it grows, and again, when word gets out, because oftentimes the services that we provide are because people find out about something,
Well-
their neighbor is getting services, so, you know,
well, you got 15 right now.
Yeah.
Could one handle the 15, or do you need 2? Or do you need 3?
She's handling it right now.
she's handling it right now.
What's the perfect number? That's my question, for the 15, in your opinion.
My,
2?
as a former case manager, I would say
2?
2, because burnout is a problem. And it's
So-
not,
Cover vacations.
exactly, and it's not an easy job. When I was young, I worked in a nursing home. I mean, it's.
And travel time, you might have somebody one day in Greenville and you gotta go to Cornwallville or Hunter or.
And we're learning, you know, it's a new thing. It hasn't been done by this agency before, so we're kind of We figured we would have road bumps, but so far. And if anybody has any questions, please, I'm throwing you under the bus. Please call Stephanie.
It's fine. I'm in constant contact with Unlimited, and I also meet with the case managers and our home health care aide to make sure everything is running the way it needs.
Can we get that on the website more?
We can put it on their department page.
Right,
I was taking some notes and I figured.
just so that way if anybody clicks on it and they're calling Greene
Yeah.
County, even though it's not a county job, but if it's something, an opportunity
It's a service.
within a service available.
Right.
What's the name of that company again?
It's
Unlimited care.
Unlimited.
And they're looking for people to work, I assume, right?
Yeah,
So I know somebody in the nursing home, I should give them a call.
yeah, absolutely.
Okay. You know what I'm talking about, right? Young lady you hired for Athens,
Yeah.
RN.
Yeah.
She might be perfect for
She's
something.
wonderful.
She is.
We like her.
Is she nice or what? She is.
She's
Wonderful.
wonderful.
She is.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
There you go. We have- Commissioner, do you have anything for us tonight?
There was a new report or questions, and folks look at that. Is that closer to what you wanted to see? Do you want me to come up or should I stay back here?
Come on up. Really low. Commissioner, the Commissioner of Social Services.
So what I did is I put on the transaction, so you can see basically a caseload. It wasn't every single caseload, and then I put up the actual caseloads. So you can see those numbers. So I think what really kind of jumped off the page is when you looked at the monthly transactions, the biggest caseload is in the SNAP, the primarily known as food stamps.
4,000.
So that was 4,303 transactions. That means that a staff member had to pick up a case to do something. It could have been an address change, budget change, or something within that caseload. So that's pretty amazing to think in 1 month, there's that many transactions in that program. So below, so this is the actual caseload in all of those programs, and they're individuals. So the difference here on the Medicaid, we managed 3,907, but overall in Greene County with the clients from the state exchange, there's 14,039 individuals that were eligible for Medicaid in Greene County at the end of December.
So like the HEAP program, 2441, that was from December 1st to December 31st. You processed 2,441.
No, this is caseload, up above, if we go up to the top again. This is transactions, the top section.
Okay,
So that means it was 447,
that's what you did during that month only.
interactions, yeah.
So what's the 2,400 then, down below? Total.
This is 2,441 individuals are on the HEAP program. So it's interesting, if you look at SNAP, there's 4,169 individuals, but then go back up to the transactions and take a look at that. It was 4,303.
So that's a monthly transaction, and the ones below are the update that are yearly?
No, the monthly caseload. This is the work behind the
Yeah.
caseload that's down.
Well, I mean, for the SNAP, for example, that could have been an adjustment of what they get per month.
That could have been anything.
Right,
It-
so-
That could have been a telephone number change.
Right,
something
And it could have been the
like that.
adjustments, it could have been the address change, so that's why you're getting a lot more.
Absolutely, so there's lots of changes on that side of the house.
And it's all times that regardless of what you're doing.
Absolutely,
Right.
absolutely. With the pandemic unwinding, that's the official word that they're using. This caseload right here, because there's cases that the state hasn't let the staff pick up in 3 years. There'll be massive changes on that side of the house.
It's always fun to watch people on how they handle
What's
it.
the exchange number again? State, what does that
So-
represent?
It's the total cases that are eligible for Medicaid. So there's over 14,000 people who are on Medicaid in Greene County.
Just in Greene County?
Correct.
That's not the third population.
Right.
Yeah, where you been?
So the state made determinations on those. The only ones that we make determination on are the most difficult ones. So the clients in long-term care, SSI, disabled in some way. So there's a MAGI and a non-MAGI population, and they don't have the expertise to be able to do the more difficult cases. Problem being, if there's an error in one of those cases, 100% local share for the county to absorb. But these are the 5-year look backs for, nursing home cases. All right. So is that a little bit closer to what you wanted to see?
Yes.
Definitely.
Is there something you would like added to that?
Prices. You guys, how much are people?
No, that's very understandable.
Yeah.
Okay, so monthly transactions and cases, okay. Good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else?
I'll try that.
Everybody's hungry, I can tell.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so now, get my blackboard untangled. We go to the action items. Authorizing agreement, Greene County Department of Human Services Aging and Unlimited Care, Inc. I'd like to move that. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, we got, second, we have Drew. Handle. Okay,
Second.
any other seconds?
Right here.
Lavera and Lennon
Lavera?
as well.
You
Lennon,
have all those?
Lennon.
Lennon.
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Okay, that is carried.
I'll figure out how to get.
Awarding meat, canned goods, frozen supplies, and paper goods bids to Ginsberg's. I'll second that. What's that?
Lucas.
Oh, Lucas seconds it also.
I just have one question on this. It's always, Ginsburg is always the only company that bids on it. Where are we asking for bids? Because I do business with many different food distributors. Why is Ginsburg the only one that bids every single year?
They were the only ones that will deliver in all the locations we require, but we have people here that can answer that question better than I.
Like, where are we advertising for people to bid on this? Because I know Ginsburg's prices.
I know it all goes in time.
Are we actually calling food distributors and saying, hey, would you like to, I mean, I don't know, it might be worth it. But it might be lower. Just seems every year, it's just one company bidding on it, and when they know they're gonna get it, why would we get a good price, you know?
Right.
So maybe, I mean, there's not, I guess there's something we can do for this year, but maybe in the future, can we maybe get in touch with some of the food distributors and say, hey, just in case you don't read the Times Union at night, we're looking for people to bid on this?
I know we used to use Cisco back when I managed the senior center. We used Cisco and Ginsburg. That compare the prices, but I'm not sure what happened in the meantime, but I will ask the nutrition coordinator just with the process.
Awesome.
Patty, do you know of any other distributors?
Yes.
Thomas Miller.
There's T.O. Miller,
maybe,
there's US Food, there's SARS, there's,
So that might be a help too, if we put
Yeah.
together a list that potentially we could.
I just think that if you're getting it every year, you're not gonna give the best price because you know you're gonna get it.
What if you, when you put it out for bid, you just mail to those companies?
Right, that's what I mean.
And then they would, you sent the letter to the company, then if you got the return back from them, as Patty said, if they're not looking at the
Right,
competitive bid process, at least, you know, we're saying, hey, we're looking, consider us. If it lands on their desk, they'll have.
might get a better deal.
Competition's a good thing.
That's right.
Thank you.
Also, my
Sorry.
understanding is Ginsburg is the only one that
Lost
delivers
control.
where they have to go.
Yeah.
That's not what excuses I was given. Okay, anybody, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That is carried. Authorizing, obtaining, and furnishing of election-related services and materials. Handle Overbaugh, all in favor?
Do we have cost on this? Cost on this?
So,
We can build back to our towns.
back and or invoice to the respective towns.
We don't have a cost on it. Why is that? How are we authorizing to build our towns for something that we don't have a cost on? Anybody?
Well.
They know
I'd
that they
say-
have to run an election every year, that's for sure.
Right, I mean, how are you gonna run the election. I mean, it isn't like we know, obviously, the way that the voting laws have changed, that you need X amount of ballots and who's coming in. You know that you need however many representatives to work the polls, however many districts,
Both of those so far are state requirements, not ours.
right?
But we're required to follow, correct? But we're required to follow what the state requirements are, right?
The town funded money.
What's that?
The towns don't keep rolls. The county has to keep rolls.
But either way, it's coming out of taxpayers' dollars.
But either way, the county has to authorize and obtain it
It
to.
absolutely is.
But it's a state requirement, just like we didn't really like the whole COVID mask thing, but we had to do it because it was required by the state. So I really don't see any way out of it, right?
We're not required to build this back to town.
That's.
But if the county pays for it, the taxpayers are still paying for it.
Yes.
So either way, the taxpayers are paying for it, right?
Gonna pay either, whether they ain't paying it or, but actually, they're gonna pay it both ways. They're gonna pay the bills and then they're gonna reimburse. That'll work.
This doesn't feel like a thing that we can opt out of, you know?
But here it just says they're looking to
Put a dollar figure to it.
obtaining and furnishing election-related services and materials.
I think that's like, it's done annually.
Right.
I think that just starts it and then.
We have to order the books now.
Yeah.
We can't order them.
It's just, authorize not paying the material that we need for the election, and then we'll get the resolutions with the amounts in it.
When we're authorizing this particular resolution, there's no cost there. This is the one that authorizes us to back charge the towns. That's my point. We're back charging them on a cost that they don't know what it's gonna be. We don't know what it's gonna be. They're not required to keep rolls. Our Department of Elections is required to keep that rolls by state law. Required to back charge.
But they know they have an election coming up, so it would be their responsibility to have proper budget planning. To know that that they're going to have an election and it's about this amount every year. So the towns and villages should have proper budget planning to know.
Added how many hours in early voting that increased the cost over 10 days for every town and every village, for every jurisdiction that's out there.
But early voting, they come here.
Right, but we're back charging that cost to them. It's still the cost of the election, it's getting back charged. Including the 10 days that's voted here.
I understand what you're saying, and I mean, it makes me feel good to say, I'm not, you know, I don't wanna do it, I don't wanna charge back the towns, but reality is, they're going to pay for it, either on the county level or the town level anyway, and it's a requirement by the state, so.
So if this does not pass, for example, it's not gonna stop the election.
You would not be able to have two ballots or nothing.
Doesn't stop the election because we're required to hold that election.
And we're required to supply the material.
You know, we have the option to back charge it.
And if this passes, that option is exercised.
Correct. Right.
So whatever the cost.
That's why I'm discussing it now before the resolution is passed. Everybody knows my opinion on
But
this.
not if your town or village doesn't have an election.
Well, then there's no cost. The cost is broken down by whoever has the elections.
Right.
So if one town happens to have a primary, but another one doesn't, that cost is broken out to that town.
And
So
if
do
it's
you
not
think-
broken down to just that town, then everybody in the county pays a portion of it. Right?
Yes.
Well, heck, no. I don't have a village, I don't wanna have to pay that. So see, then it's not fair. Because then town of Durham is paying for an election that town of Catskill had, or village of Catskill, or Athens, and that's not fair.
Sounds
I
reasonable to me.
should, our taxpayers should only pay for what we have in our town. So I'm a hard yes,
No,
because, you know, huh?
You mean, no, you don't.
No.
No, I'm
resolution
saying
is the
yes
back
on
part.
this resolution. Because then your towns, your taxpayers in your town are paying for your elections that you're having.
If you don't.
You're not paying for all the other, right, if you say no, then it just goes on the county taxes that's spread out to absolutely everybody.
Right.
I think the towns and villages know that this goes on and they've budgeted for this.
Yeah.
They should be
Or they
budgeting
should
for
be.
it.
How do you budget a cost that you don't know? Would
It's an approximate budget. How do we do a budget? We don't have exact costs of everything we put in our budget.
That's just a projection.
It's a projection, right?
Even on the towns.
We don't know how
and
much
villages,
is in
there's
our
still a
budget.
projection put into the budget, not per se like a slush fund or a rainy day fund. But if something like that happens in the town or village.
As long as you understand, if you're okay with it, that's fine.
I think at the end of the day,
Understand
I work it out.
the end of the day, it would be disingenuous for us to complain about the unfunded mandates that are handed down from the state when we are doing this to the town and village, right?
The towns and villages that participate.
They don't have a choice of participation, they have to have.
It's gone for town and
I mean,
village
that's-
from about 8,000 to 12,000 with the
That's
10
actually
days
whatever
of
you wanna do.
really voting that out. So yeah, it's probably a % increase.
Yeah, well, that money would go.
And their
Before the ten,
their cap is only at $12,000.
but before the 10 day, it was pretty much the same.
Similar and.
700,000.
It was a couple $100 there.
Lost control, my friend.
Well, it was going so smooth. That's all right.
Motion.
We have any more conversation on this resolution?
Thank you for the
All right, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? I am opposed. I have a feeling you carried anyway. All right, authorizing to facilitate 2023 annual village election.
Lavera,
Overblock.
Rivera, Overbaugh, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, wait a minute. All opposed?
Me.
Bloomer, Blinger, not in order. Does anyone else have any business before county services this evening?
Motion to close.
Motion to close. We are closed. Thank you all. It was relatively painless.
Lost control.
totally. He lost control.
Yeah, he's gonna make people in Durham pay for part of his election.
Not my election, the Constitution's election.
I've never heard you say that.
I haven't either.
Okay, I'd like to open Public Works Committee at 6:36. Highway Superintendent's report.
It's a tough crowd tonight, Scott.
It's all right, he said he's going to keep it brief.
It was another successful construction season this year. There's many projects that we got through. Some of the points that I'd like to mention is the 2022 surface treatment of our roads. We did over 43 miles of surface treatments, and that includes everything from overlay, chip seal, crack seal, mortar pave. That is substantially more than what we've ever done in the past. And that's thanks to our engineering department and our project managers that have done an excellent job taking that ball and running with it. They've really done things that we haven't done before in some of these different surface treatments, which they should be commended. A lot of different areas of the county have been addressed with some sort of surface treatment. So I think it's been spread out throughout the county. We've also successfully completed some major projects, everything from County Route 17 slope stabilization, road reconstruction. You'll see a resolution that actually is a net decrease of $120 $34,000. So that's a decrease in the actual construction budget on that project. It was incredibly successful. Evergreen Construction did an amazing job up there and got that road open. That was in collaboration with Greene County Soil and Water Conservation District. They helped out tremendously on that. It wouldn't have been as successful without them. County Route 20 bridge project replacement. That was another successful bridge project we've done in the county. So it was a very good year for construction. We completed a lot of projects. Some of the projects that we have moving forward for next year, it's going to be another busy construction season. County Route 83 culvert pedestrian bridge in the town of Hunter. Timberlake Road Bridge, also in the town of Lexington. Bloomer Road in the town of Hunter. Those bridges are scheduled to go next year. County Route 2 culvert replacement, also in the town of Lexington, is scheduled to go next year as well. Black Clove Road Bridge. We've done a lot of numbers back and forth, and I think that project has been submitted through Bridge New York. So hopefully we can get that funded through that program. I think the scope of the work would be more conducive for a Bridge New York project, not a miscellaneous bridge project. There's a lot of unique construction techniques, whether it's repointing of the, it's something that our miscellaneous bridge contractors don't necessarily do on a consistent basis. So I think it's better for that program. County Route 1 culvert replacement in the town of Halkett. We're actually getting CWC flood hazard mitigation funding. So that, I'm not sure if it's going to go next year, but possibility the following year. So that'd be 2024. We're road maintenance. We're doing our winter maintenance. As you all have seen, the weather hasn't been too bad, so we've actually been able to do some construction, continue some construction, doing tree trimming and road maintenance. Hopefully the weather stays like this, save some money, save on salt. So equipment, well, we're continuing maintaining our capital improvement plan. I'm sure you'll see in the future that we have a couple of pieces of equipment that I'd like to purchase this year. So we should be seeing that shortly. Solid waste department. Another busy construction year for solid waste. We've wrapped up the construction of the Coxsackie transfer station and closed temporary operations at 370 Mansion Street. I think the station turned out very well. We're getting a lot of positive feedback from it. A couple of things we may need to address, but it's gone very well. Catskill Transfer Station's single stream recycling facility continues. We should be wrapping that up in the next several weeks, hopefully. There was a couple delays with material procurement, but we've wrapped those up, so they should be wrapping that project up shortly. The Wyndham compactor up in the town of Wyndham, that was failed. It's almost 40 years old. We'll have to do a purchase of a new one. So that's going to be in the future, purchasing a new compactor. That's going to be around $80,000. Hopefully that could be on the next round. And you'll also see for the purchase of a new loader for Catskill. The motor actually blew on our loader and we have to purchase a new one. We just missed the warranty by about 500 hours. But the repair on that piece of machinery would be around $37,000. We're actually going to get $35,000 in a trade-in. So we're rolling that into the purchase of a new loader. It's unfortunate that it went at this time, but with the increase of tonnage, our station at Catskill, that machine runs every day, 8 hours a day, 6 days a week. It runs all the time. And just a note, that I think we need to like advertise, something that we haven't done before, the single stream recycling out of Catskill. We did over 10,000 tons of recycling out of Catskill. That's more tonnage than Hunter did total. So that's just in recycling. That's recycling that is not going to our landfill. So I think that's a positive. I think that should go out there. Our recycling is working, and we are diverting quite a bit of tonnage away from our landfills.
Saving us money.
Composting.
Composting?
Where'd you end up with that?
We're continuing with composting. I'm not sure what the totals are this year yet. I know we'd like to roll out another machine to the top. They've been requesting to get a machine up there.
Okay.
But it is successful in Catskill. I'm not sure how much, we have to look into exactly how much we've done this year.
Scott, could we put a dollar figure to the amount saved by recycling compared to being sent to the landfill? When you put something out, you know, I think it'd be concrete for people to see. We save this amount of money instead of, you know, to encourage people to recycle the materials instead of throwing.
Yeah, I could put a dollar figure to that. Next round.
Yeah, no rush.
And you'll see, we're a couple resolutions balancing change orders. These are change orders that are wrapping up all these different projects that we have. It pretty much closes out the majority of our projects this year. If you have any questions regarding any of them, feel free to answer any of those.
What was the reason for the motor failure on the motor, you know, was it just done lock or was it maintenance or?
Turbo one.
The turbo
went
fell
and
apart?
blew the turbo the motor.
Came apart, took out the motor. Oh, yeah, well. Intercooler, turbo. Yeah, but it's going to the intercooler. Yeah, and then sucked it into the piston. Never know where they're gonna go.
So was there a difference then between the new 444 model?
Yeah, we traded in before the 7,000 hours are up.
Yeah,
It was slated to go this month for a new one anyway, but it blew up last month.
That was slated to be replaced after
4 years.
4 years.
our
It's
warranty,
got 7,500 hours on it now.
right.
Because they blow it.
We're trying to get them off right before our warranty expires, but this one,
But still running.
Yeah.
ideally, yes.
That would be ideal.
Is it the same loader?
Yeah. Yep.
We get all the quick attach couplings that we needed. This one for the broom and the.
It's the same, it'll fit.
That'll fit.
Yeah, that's why I'm staying with John Deere. Otherwise, we have one works. And
I know you had interchanging issues with the couplings or something, right? When you got the broom?
No, that was for our highway side.
Oh,
We tried to retrofit our loaders on the highway side to use the broom.
The broom from
solid waste.
solid waste.
Good.
Thank you.
Proposed action items, authorizing contracts with Purely Clean LLC for janitorial services at various county buildings.
I got a question on that one.
Yeah, I do too.
What buildings are we using them in?
Well, it's good as 240 West.
40?
Jail, we do have, or we had Craig on, I don't know if he's still on.
Jail?
Is the Second Street, is that the senior center in Athens?
Yeah.
What's for 65 Main Street, Casket, where's that?
Social services are the old social.
Right.
services records building.
Records address.
How come 3 times a week at the jail?
I'm assuming
They
you
don't
got
have-
visiting traffic coming in to see incarcerated people and
What's it, 24-hour
it's
operation?
24 hours in and out.
Don't we have, I see what you're saying, for the jail itself.
Right.
It's actually very reasonable pricing.
Not to prolong the meeting.
Think about it.
44,400 a year.
Plus there's Charlie's garage at that address too.
Excuse me.
Never mind.
Yeah, but you know, you're not paying any, withholding or hospitalization or anything else.
Yeah, that's very reasonable.
It's,
I'd like to make that move.
you look at the long picture and you're gonna find out.
Patty, do I have a
money.
second?
I'll second
Tommy? Handle and Hobart, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Authorizing municipalities to participate in county highway purchases.
Martinez.
Martinez, Leg? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Now, here's where they can piggyback off our low prices. So we are saving the municipality some money. Thank you.
Authorizing change order number one.
By the way,
Three
that's the
necessary
street that
for the
allows them to do
completion of County Route
I had to do
17 reconstruction slope stabilization town of Jewett. I'll move that. Hobart second. All in favor?
Yeah.
Aye. Opposed? So carried. Change order number 1 through 1 and 2 necessary for completion of slope stabilization of County Route 2, town of Prattsville. Also move that one. Lennon, Handle. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. A resolution authorizing the implementation and funding in the first instance, 100% of federal aid, state Marchicelli program aid eligible cost of a transportation federal aid project and appropriating funds therefore.
Martinez.
Martinez and Lennon, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Authorizing supplemental agreement number 1 necessary for completion of the construction inspection services for the rehabilitation of County Route 23B bridge over the Shingle Kill bin 3-30328-0 town of Carroll pin 1760.24.
Second.
Lennon and Martinez,
Yes.
all in favor? Opposed? So carried.
I don't think I was gonna take it away from you.
Authorizing balancing change order necessary for completion of Coxsackie Transfer Station, Town of Coxsackie, contract number A1 general construction.
Martinez.
Hobart, Martinez, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Authorizing change order number 3, Coxsackie
Comes with a
Transfer
garbage
Station
station class.
reconstruction project. Contract number 1C, electrical contract.
Martinez and Hobart.
Martinez and Hobart, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Authorizing purchase of 1 new 2023 wheel loader. Lennon and Hobart, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Is there anything else to bring before Public Works Committee? Close handle, second by Lennon. We are closed.
Oh, very good, Jim.
Very good, Scott.
Nice job.
Eric, we have more.